So welcome everybody. We are now live on YouTube live stream, either in real time or for people who are watching the recording. You're very welcome to this last event of the Royal College of Art Service Design WiP Show 2021. I'll be officially introducing and launching the event in a few minutes. We'll just wait whilst people are joining. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your patience. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes when we have all our attendees in. Thanks very much. Welcome everybody. When I come off mute, just I can see Jonas here. Hello Jonas, thank you very much for joining us. And welcome to Jasmine as well. Welcome to everybody for attending the RCA Service Design WiP Show on Sustainable Solutions. I'm going to do a short introduction and then hand over to the students, and we'll get the show on the road. So yes, hello to everybody live on this Zoom call, everybody live on YouTube live stream, either now or in the future. Thank you for coming in and seeing. This is the last of 6 events that have been put on by the Royal College of Art Service Design course for our 2021 WiP Show. We have highlighted and showcased the work of 75 students over the last 3 days, working on 20 projects across 5 thematic studios on projects that we started back in October. They cover everything from healthcare to urban renewal, next generation interfaces, and of course, sustainable solutions. The students whose work we are showcasing look like this. This was my first day. I'm Clive Grinier. I always forget to tell everybody, the head of the service design course. I arrived in October 2019, and this was my first day with some people who graduated already, but mostly the incoming students who will graduate later on this year. And this is our chance to see their progress, their work in progress, and the project work they've done in the last 3 months. Of course, we're no longer physically present, and the WiP Show is not a physical thing anymore. We're here in the land of Zoom and Teams and countless other platforms. But the message is one of huge success. The students have been resilient, they pivoted, they used the digital tools that have enabled them to carry on gaining insight with new audiences, to bring creativity and to prototype and model new visions, new solutions, to take us beyond this time of pandemic. And that's why we called this series of events and this whole show Generation Regeneration. They are the generation that will move us on and remind us that there is a future, and how can we make that future safe and sustainable for us all. When I joined the course, and apologies to my students who've heard this so many times, but I'm proud of this. And for those of you who are new to the course, I invited the staff and students to give me a feel for the ethos. What are the values of this course? What it's about? What are they about as individuals, as people, and as a cohort? And we came up with some words, which we turned into these icons. You can't be a service designer if you're not curious about the world, super curious, more curious than anyone would reasonably be, and then have the courage to play that back to people, to say, look, this is what's really going on in the world, and then collaborate together to actually create new solutions, to create new visions, both exciting and pragmatic. And that's what we do. That's what the students do here on this course. They're very dynamic, they're resilient, and they're flexible. The output of their work is innovative and it's transformative. They want to make change. We're very people focused in the broadest sense of that word, human-centered, community-centered, society-centered. And we care a lot about systems, not least the system we all live on, the ecosystem that is the planet itself. And that's why we're here to talk about sustainability today. And every single one of the projects showcased in this series of events has had a sense of purpose, a purpose to bring all that change together. So across the 20 projects, we've been looking at social resilience and impact. We've been looking, of course, today, sustainable solutions. We've been looking at the future of work, using speculative design techniques to imagine what work might be like in 10, 25 years' time. We've looked at interactions that don't rely on screen and touch post-COVID. How can we move beyond to voice and gesture? How can we have a more people-centric view of health and healthcare? 3 fantastic projects looking at proactive healthcare through the science of the genome, great scientific advances with the human application, life-changing decisions to be made if you know about your propensity for disease. And citizen-centered, how do we put citizens at the center of our regenerating high streets, our communities, education, and cities. And a huge number of partners. The secret sauce of this course is our ability to attract people who want to come and tap into the creativity and pragmatism of our students with real life problems, real life examples. So a whole host of amazing partners have helped these projects happen. But these events are really about the chance to talk directly to our students. Who are they? What do they think? And we can't have you walk from booth to booth in a physical location anymore as we did 12 months ago. So we have to create a new way of doing that. And these events are about focusing, showcasing their projects and giving you a chance to go and talk directly to them. So as well as these events, and I have to say, this is the last one. This is the last event of what's been an incredible series of events that started last Thursday with an inspirational set of talks from design journalist Alice Rawthorne and ex-head of Nesta and general social force for good Jeff Mulgan, who talked in a very complimentary way about the challenges of regeneration and visualizing that regeneration through design, through service design. We went on to have a fantastic business and design event last Friday, and then the series of student showcases, which give us the chance to hear some amazing speakers as well here in a minute, but also to connect directly. So we have a website, rcaservicedesign.com, where you can go and explore every one of the projects that you see today and right the way through this work in progress show. And as well as that, I will be posting at the end of this event, this URL to go and speak to the designers. You will see the designers of these projects. And in fact, you can see the students who have been involved in all the projects, and you can click on their Zoom link. They have a Zoom link for each project and talk to them directly. If you can't do that, if you haven't got time to do that, you can click on their Calendly button and book an appointment. But I encourage you, if not now, at some point in the next few days, to go into their Zoom rooms, to book an appointment, to talk directly, to see what these students are about. They have been through a lot. They pivoted, shown resilience, shown incredible spirit. They're our future. They're going to shape the world as we emerge from pandemic. And it's our duty, I think, to give them some time and listen to their voices and input our experience and help them on their journey towards their graduation in July, when we'll be asking you all back and doing it all again. So today is the chance to look at two projects. We'll be having a pitch from these two projects later on. The theme of sustainability has been important in nearly all the projects that we do on this course, and I've seen that as a trend in the 3 years I've been involved, in the year and a bit that I've been running the course, and it will continue to be a huge part of it. Our first years are currently working on a huge project to look at how we replenish this planet, and you'll have a chance to see their work later on this year. But it's something we take very importantly. So I'm really delighted to welcome our two speakers. Thank you very much, Jonas Patterson, CEO of From Us with Love Design. Sorry, From Us, I think that's a typo, with Love Design Studio. Happens a lot with designers. Who's going to inspire us with some real examples of sustainability in action. And then Jasmine Jarvinen, project manager for Aalto. And Aalto have been our partner through these projects that we've been working in this last few months. And it's been very interesting to work with a university and a town and an architectural department and our own service department. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from you, Jasmine, and your work with Green Nudges at Aalto University. So these events are run by the students. I just make a little appearance at the beginning here, and I hand over to my amazing team of students who will run the rest of this, and I'll see you at the end to invite you back to go and talk to the students who've created these projects. Thanks very much. I really hope you enjoy this event. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Clive. We are going to have Jonas as our first speaker. If you have any question about Jonas' share, please leave message on the chat. So now, Jonas, please start, and Vicky, please share the screen.
Sorry, would you mind setting me as a co-host to share the screen?
Okay. So, yeah.
Who needs to be a co-host? Ziwe, have I done you? I think I've done you.
Yeah.
All right. Nice to meet you all. Exciting to be invited to this forum. It's definitely a topic that is dear to us. I think you can flip from the start. Is that really from the, yeah, thanks. I mean, if you look at From Us with Love, we essentially design products and we work with brands like IKEA and other global brands, and you can flip. But we also start our own ventures, like the next slide is example of Baux. And we work with different high profile companies designing products like lamps. If you flip, and furniture, you can just continue flipping. But I think, and you can stop there. One more. But what it really comes down to for us is really when you're digesting what we're working on is so much more than the final product. And I think that's why we also participate in this session. And by really digesting what we've been doing since we started 2005, it's all about like 15 years of problems, more or less. You can flip. I will take 3 examples during this session. It's like 20-30 minutes. This all comes down into a book that we're just going to publish next week, and also an exhibition that we're doing during Stockholm Design Week. And problem number 1, as you can see here, is liquid soap is essentially bottled water. And what is the real problem behind this? If you flip, it's basically that we're creating an enormous amount of trash in our homes. I don't know how it is in different parts of the world, but for instance, in Stockholm where I live, we sort our different trash in different bins, and it's quite clear how much plastic and paper and different resources we actually generate by consuming, all these products. What we wanted to do was really moving into and see if we can challenge an industry which we didn't know anything about, which is the personal care industry. And if you flip, the idea here was really to see if we can form skincare and flip from less. which is all comes down to see if we can actually make not reduce quality, but just like see if we can take away things that we felt was unnecessary for the real product. Wash your hands, for instance. And if you look at these industries, they've been, adding design, packaging, and unnecessary things for years now, just because they want to add value to us as consumers. But if you buy hand wash, for instance, or soap today, it's basically 90% water, which is shipped around the world, and you consume all this plastic waste. So what we try to do is to see if we can actually make just a powder and see if you can use the tap water in your home to make your own soap. And if you flip, what we had to do in this specific project, as we were nobodies in this area, we had to set up our small lab in the studio. And one person in our team, Alan, was one of the main driver behind this, was really also making a lab in his home. So our studio was transformed pretty much from, prototyping chairs and tables, and now prototyping soap. And this might have looked more like a Breaking Bad laboratory than a design studio at this time. But we got some proof of concept that the formula was working in a small scale in our studio, but now turn an idea into an industrial scale, which we are used to in furniture and other products. But how do you do that in a category that you never worked on before? So we were basically reaching out to labs around the world, and finally we found a lab in Canada that were willing to, do these tests. And you flip. And we started to receive samples from the lab, which we were super excited about. You just fill it with water and shake it, and it became soap. But it was not really there yet. Same as working on other products. Quality might not be perfect from the first prototype. So that's kind of a ping pong in our case, in all our work. But how do you ping pong on an area that you never done before? So we needed to establish a new language of, making feedback around soap, basically, and you can flip. The other part was to see if we can actually make a bottle that would last. Instead of buying a bottle then you throw away, we wanted to have a bottle that was responsible produced, but also something that people would have for a long time in their homes. So we sourced production in Portugal in the end. And you can flip. And I mean, this was, for us as a design team, we're 11 people working together in our studio in Stockholm. And just by, shaking these bottles and find out that this actually worked was extraordinarily exciting. And also creating a brand, Forgo, which means to do without, to see if we can actually create a brand and a portfolio of products that actually is tapping into a more sustainable consumption. You can flip. And this was later launched last year. And it took us actually almost 3 years to go from this idea at the launch to go all the way to set up the production, building a brand, and launch it as a Kickstarter. And the next slide, you can see how we also built kind of the whole user journey. How can you actually buy these products in a more convenient way? Because I think if we want to go sustainable, we also need to be convenient. We are convenient as people. So if we're not designing things that are more convenient, we're missing out. So in this case, we can create a subscription-based service where people get 2 bottles or even 3 bottles of soap back in your mailbox. You can flip. And this was also a lot about sourcing. Design is a big part, of course, but the big part in this is basically sourcing. And as we were setting up our own company to do this, we finally find a producer in UK that could do these paper chassis, which is often done in plastic, but this you can just recycle once they're used, and you can flip. And in the end, it came down to creating like 3 scents. And this was also a design area that was completely new to us, to make a neutral scent, a citrus scent, and a woody scent. And if you flip, this was also a huge challenge to see if we can actually source sands that was sustainable. And we find a use farm that was willing to give out their waste to be part of the formula in the lab. And next slide is showing how we also found a wood lumber park that could send their leftover from their production to be part of the sands. And this was also like trying to, dive pretty deep in all different topics to make it as sustainable as possible. You can continue flipping. And this was really the last slide where we were presenting this at Stockholm Design Week last year and celebrating with all the people that has been part of this in a abandoned safe house in the city center. That was the time when you still could have a party and meet up, which was, if I knew what was coming, I would probably have taken some extra drinks that night. But looking forward to, come together again. Moving on problem 2. This is about glass and how glass is infused with heavy metals, poisoning the ground. And nobody really have a use for it. And this is really a big issue, not only in Sweden, but in many different countries that has glass production. So if you flip to the next slide, what this all comes down to is that these industries for decades has, dumped their glass. You can see in the picture to the left how it looks in many different locations in Sweden, but this is also in, Finland, Czech Republic, Italy, and other industries where glass, or countries where glass has been a big part of their production. And this glass that has been dumped there is basically filled with heavy metals, which is polluting the ground and down to the water. And now I guess you're asked the same thing as we did when we came across this, like, why are they not, taking this up? And this is down to very often a thing when you come out to reality that it costs money. And government and companies are not willing to spend money on this, which is completely crazy when it becomes a problem for our water. What we did, if you flip, was to see if we can form tiles or form products, in this case tiles, and next, from toxic glass, to really see if we can make something useful with this waste. Glass, as you can see here, it usually comes as transparent glass, same as plastic and other materials, which is loved by the industry. They love pure materials that they can color and they know the properties, they know where they come from. But recycled material is tougher. In this case, we had to team up with, you can continue, team up with some other companies, one of the largest recycling companies in Sweden, but also the government-owned research institute, which is kind of funding long-term innovative project and also mainly in sustainability. And in this process, in a small scale production, we managed to see if we can actually divide by heating up the waste, getting the heavy metals separated from the glass. And by having that kind of proof of concept, we saw that this might be scaled up. And if you flip further, you can see, you can flip. And this is really how it looks when it comes up from the ground. Like, you have enormous amount of different colors and different qualities. And how can this be a resource? And if you flip. But to us, this was so beautiful to see when blending all this glass waste, it becomes like completely a new material, basically. What was more important was kind of what that contains as a story. So we find, like, could you actually tell this story to a consumer, and that becomes a value. And if you flip, this all came down to us like prototyping. This is really a project which is going on right now. So it's in the middle of the process, and see if we can actually make, for instance, glass tiles, a product that could be industrialized in a larger scale, because the volume just in Sweden is like 150 tons of glass that's laying in the ground. And if we can make this into a commercial product, we can basically finance the sustainability issue. And the last one, before I would leave to someone else to speak, it's about acoustics. And acoustic paneling are usually packed with petrochemicals. So that's kind of an insight. And what problem does that mean? It means that products that you can flip. Products we use, in particular in public space like schools or workspace and so on, has pretty tough regulation when it comes to fire, for instance. So to surpass those tests, you need to kind of treat your materials with petrochemicals, which is good for not make them burn, but it's bad for the environment. So what we did was really to set like a very high ambition to see if we can flip form acoustics from nature. And if you flip again, already 2013, we were launching a complete new brand called Baux. And that was really when we saw the acoustic market going to grow, but also the need of sustainable acoustics. So the first product that was launched is made from wood, water, and cement. But now moving into the next phase, we really want to raise the bar and see if we can make something 100% from the nature. And by flipping. Here, same as kind of the other projects and most of our projects, we work in collaboration where our knowledge as designers is limited. So we teamed up with scientists, biochemists that has been researching on biochemistry for 15 years, and they found many things, but I think one thing that to me was super exciting was the fact that they find out that from a forest fire there was a certain enzymes in the grass roots that was not damaged, and this is basically how you can use parts of the nature and put that into a chemistry, like make it fire proof. But there was also a number of other different ingredients, mainly from leftovers like citrus shell to make it water repellent, and some materials is binders. And I think the wheat was really exciting for us, if you flip, to be not really designing something and put the material in the end, but really put the material at the start, which is part of our process really. But here we managed to be also designing the material. So by working closely with these chemist experts, we could find out tests if you flip, where you can see a different amount of grains from the wheat could actually create different textures and different colors, from quite white to more dark colors. And by really taking inspiration from Japanese origami, or really used a paper, which is essentially to make it strong and with high quality to perform in a public space. And if you flip, this is really showing a little bit how it works in a design process to make sampling from a very small scale. And this is small tools to make samples. And if you flip, you can really see early on how different chemistry look here in the samples. You flip. And then moving into larger scale, and this close-up really shows how the wheat is creating this, to us, beautiful, almost terrazzo-like textures, but it's so honest in a way. Like, how can you make something really rational? It's there for a reason, but it becomes beautiful, instead of trying to make something beautiful and then try to solve it. And if you flip. And then the production was setting up, and it was also like using a laser machine that was invested into to make these perforated small holes to enhance the acoustic qualities. And if you flip, yeah, I can flip. And what this actually is like how you produce an egg card box, I think that's the name. Pretty much the same, like you have a pulp of this chemistry that was developed, and then you press this with high pressure to take the water out, and you get a stable product. You can flip. And in the end, this was launched as a product to really solve, acoustic, the huge acoustic problems that is in schools or workplaces or hotels and other areas, but mainly the public space. And just by solving that, but also not harming the environment that much, we managed to really get super exciting requests and asks around the world. And this was presented during Stockholm Design Week now 2019. If you flip, you can flip again. Yeah, and this is how it was presented in the end. I think my talk is coming to an end. And if you are more interested in what we're doing, you can flip. There is a book. Basically, the content that I was showing now is part of a book that was made and will be shared next week during Stockholm Design Week. And if you're interested, you can find it at the link up to the left, papercutshop.se. Yeah, thank you so much. Really, really new experience to give a lecture without having interaction with the crowd, but hope it was not too boring and it was giving you something. Thanks a lot for listening.
Thank you, Jonas. Really inspiring share. So if you have any question about Jonas' share, please leave the message on the chat. Yeah. And then we'll have Jasmine as our second speaker. And now, Jasmine, please share your screen.
Just a moment.
Yeah.
So here we go. Are you able to see my screen completely?
Yeah.
Yes, great. So hi everyone, and thank you for having me today. My name is Jasmine Järvinen, and I am currently working at Aalto University, Finland, as a trainee on the team called Aalto Sustainability. Our work at the university aims to connect people from different disciplines, and we promote sustainability in teaching, campus development, and other operations at Aalto University. And today I'm here to talk about the Green Nudge Team Program, one of Aalto sustainability projects, as an example case on how to develop sustainability at university campus. Before I'll tell you more about what green nudges are, I will quickly introduce the project facts in a nutshell. So basically, Green Nudge Team Program was a collaboration with Aalto Sustainability Team, Aalto University Student Union, and Aalto University Real Estate. And this was an online program to engage students in developing sustainability at Aalto. And the program is based on the United Nations Environment Program's recent publication, The Little Book of Green Nudges. And this program was launched last year from September to December at Aalto University, Finland. And it was held entirely online because of the coronavirus situation and recommendations. And before I continue, I worked at this project as a project manager, but I also want to thank my sustainability team members, as well as Verneri Virsonen, who helped me greatly with this project at the time, and the project proposal maker, Emma Sairanen. So what are green nudges? Green nudges are positive and gentle persuasions to encourage sustainable behavior. That is what the publication, A Little Book of Green Nudges, says. Basically, nudging is based on an understanding of the psychology of the decision making. And the publication states that we humans are often choosing the easiest option in this complex world, regardless of our true values. So this could mean, for example, doing what everyone else is doing or doing what we have always been done, even though we would actually be worried about the environment, or knowing that our actions truly matter and we need to change our behavior. So by nudging, we are trying to make little changes and tweaks that are making sustainable choices easier. And well, this could mean, for example, placing the vegetarian food at the first in a cafeteria line, so that it would be the most common option or the default, or offering the takeaway cups in a coffee houses only if they are specifically asked by the customers. And with this, the coffee shop would encourage people to use reusable or their own cups, and making this the new normal. A bit more about the publication. So our program was based on this publication, The Little Book of Green Nudges, which basically encourages universities all around the world to implement green nudges to instill environmental values that can last a lifetime. And the book has concrete and hands-on ideas on how to reduce your campus environmental impact through behavioral change. And it also offers guidance on how to implement and evaluate these behavioral interventions in a variety of contexts. And this book was published in 2020, and it's totally freely available. And this is not a paid commercial, but I highly encourage you to check it out if you haven't done it yet. And you can also download it for free from unenvironment.org. And the book features 40 different nudges from around the world, including 2 from Aalto University also. And these nudge examples have been proven to work, but more importantly, the publication gives practical information on how to create new nudges. So next I will give 2 examples from our university, from Aalto University Otaniemi campus, which were also mentioned in the publication, so that you can probably understand a bit better what this green nudge concept is all about. So the first example is BFix. There are maintenance points like this at our campus, containing the necessary equipment for servicing a bike. At these maintenance points, there is a pump station, toolkit, and a code to mobile guide. So if you would want to, for example, encourage people to cycle more around the campus, we could install bike repair maintenance points like this and offer parking areas for bikes. And maybe at the same time, possibly fewer car parking spaces to reduce car usage. Like this, we would nudge people to use more bikes. And the next nudge example is about reducing the food waste on campus by sharing leftovers. So Foodle is a setup from 5 Aalto University students, and it's a food giveaway Telegram group. They work with supermarkets, restaurants, and student associations on campus and ask them to share leftovers. And when they launched the food sharing group, they did it all without any funding, and all marketing happened by word of mouth. And at the time, they were mentored by the Aalto Ventures program during a course called Startup Experience, but any case. By the year 2020, the group had already prevented more than 7,000 kilograms of food from going to waste. So why to use green nudges when aiming to towards sustainable practices. As I mentioned before, the idea of green nudges is based on an understanding of decision making. The publication states that because we tend to choose, for example, the easiest option regardless of our true values, as I explained, nudges can help people to actually live their values. The idea is that we don't necessarily lack motivation with public concern about climate change, but it's hard to move people to do concrete actions, especially if sustainable choices are inconvenient or they requires us to go against defaults and established norms. This is why the publication states that green nudges can work better than just simply raising awareness. And the idea is to make sustainable choices easier and remove barriers from their way. And the fact that nudges are often cheap to implement, as they frequently involve changing the way choices are presented instead of rebuilding infrastructure or buying new equipment, is of course great. So this pic from the publication just summarized the idea of the green nudges. They need to be effective. Nudges should be easy, attractive, social, and timely. And in this book, there are sample nudges on each subcategories. For example, use defaults, give a guest at catered events the most sustainable food option unless they request otherwise. So instead of you would always have to ask for environmentally friendly options separately, it would be a default instead, and you would have to hypothetically ask meat if you really want that. Let's move on to the Aalto Green Nudge Team Program for 2020. As we began marketing the Green Nudge Team Program on our campus, we noticed that students were indeed interested in practical way to promote and contribute sustainable development on our campus. We had 66 registered students, and many of them chose more than one option when we asked which Green Nudge theme from the book they would be the most interested in. And we then finally formed 9 teams in a way that everyone would get to work on at least one of the topics they indicated as their interest. And in this program, we had 9 teams based on the 7 different nudge themes, which were based on the publication, sustainable diets, water conservation, 2 energy conservation groups, sustainable and reduced travel, reduced material consumption, reduced food waste, and 2 engagement and support for change teams. And with these themes, student groups then started to design and develop their nudge ideas forward. Something that we really wanted as well, we also recruited 11 mentors from Aalto University to share their knowledge and help the student teams on their topics. And mentors had an important role on guiding the students and forward with their Green Nudge ideas, and help them to understand what could realistically be done in Aalto University as well. This is the program timeline for students, and as you can see, the overall timeline for Green Nudge program was very tight, and we only had 3 facilitated online events with the attendees. Other than that, the students worked very independently on their teams, and they were amazing, by the way. And the mentors and organizers of the Green Nudge team program had an important role, of course, as well, to support students with their questions and needs during the independent work. And on these facilitated online sessions, we used different online tools and created online materials to inspire the students. And we used, for example, Google Jamboards and Zoom breakout rooms for teamwork and to getting to know each other. And we also encourage the students to share their ideas and make the meetings interactive as well, so that they would have some peer support on their way. And on our last session, students were presenting their Green Notch piloting results on a session that was open for our university community. And the idea of this was to inspire faculty and staff with these student presentations. Well, about program goals and challenges, because we had such a tight schedule in this program, we wanted to highlight that the main goal for the program was to ideate and design the notch together with the team members and with the support of each team mentor, and then finally test it. So it was all about the piloting, and the idea was that we were aiming to find what works and what probably doesn't, and then evaluate how could the notch possibly be improved in the future. And so trialing and measuring and comparing the effectiveness of the pilot was important. We, the organizers, had prepared ourselves to the fact that coronavirus situation moved our program plans online. But in the beginning of our program, the situation took a turn to the worse, and basically the whole campus was closed. And because of this, the timing and the circumstances at the time for piloting the notches designed for making the campus greener was anything but ideal. So the situation needed a lot of creativity from our students as well, and some of them needed to make some changes on their plans too. At the same time, however, we thought that the situation offered us a unique opportunity to introduce new, more sustainable ways of doing and being to replace the old, less sustainable ones. And we thought that that lessons on the challenges encountered and reflecting on how those could be tackled in the future were valuable program outcomes as well. To the end of my presentation, I have a few Green Notch pilot examples from the student teams, and of course, all rights reserved by the teams. And I once more want to underline that these project ideas that I am now introducing are pilots, and that they then will or will not develop into larger projects after our program. And it all depends on the teams if they want to continue with the project after the program. So first example is from Team Water with the project called The Water We Eat. And the team's idea was that living in the Western world, we consume a lot of water each day. But actually a very big part of our water footprints is hidden in the food that we eat. But we seldom think about this when we are choosing our everyday meals. So this team wanted to nudge people to choose less water-intensive lunch options and spread awareness of the water footprints on diets we have. They made this cool poster with the headline, "How much water will you eat today?" Describing the water intensiveness of different products to basically help people to understand the water footprints of different food products and help them to make ecological consumption choices. The other pilot that I want to introduce is this team that focused on reducing food waste. When they did a bit of background research, when they started, they found out that it would be possible to decrease the food waste by even 20% if the plate sizes would be changed into a smaller ones. And this picture, what you can see, illustrates the fact that these two different size plates hold the same amount of food, even if it would not seem like that. And they were thinking that the plate size would be smaller. If the plate size would be smaller, students would take only that much food that they are able to eat to have their stomach full, and so they would so there would be less food waste. But as it turned out, when they began to look into this matter and measure the food waste per person at the student cafeterias they worked with, the amount of food waste per person was actually not very high at all. So this process ended up to be a valuable learning experience instead of going to big scale with this project and implementing the notch where they would have changed the plate sizes and all. They noticed that the food waste was not that big of a problem on our campus at all. And at last, this is my last slide. I just want to underline that nudges are not only for students, but anyone who is looking for making a positive impact. But higher education community, I think, has unique opportunities to influence our now and the future. And the nudge doesn't have to be big. And the great thing about green nudges is that they can and should be simple to be effective. And of course, there's also a bigger picture. And if all campuses around the world would implement green nudges in their communities, we could make a huge change, of course. So with this said, I want to thank you all for your attention and open the discussion if you have any comments or questions on your mind, or give it to the next speaker. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jasmine, for sharing us such detail about your project. I could see that someone had asked some questions, and we will talk later in the Q&A section. So now we are going to have our student project page. Hey, Yaxing and Hongyu, please share your screen.
Hello everyone, my name is Hongyu and my teammate is Yaxing. Our project is focusing on sustainability in Aalto campus. Today we will show you our path, giving you an introduction and the main insights from research which gave us opportunity to design services. The aim of this project is to design services that can serve as platforms for co-creating value with Aalto University, opening the campus to the city and turning a road into a lively street and community. This is our project site, the main street in Aalto campus. Through our research, we got 4 key insights that guide our design direction. First is nature-based. Over Aalto drew up the plans for the autonomy campus. Emphasizing nature is a key part of the identity of the Aalto campus. Nature also brings added value to the campus users. For example, walking in the woods has been found to reduce stress and lower blood pressure. Next is biodiversity. After we researched the ecosystem in autonomy, we found that biodiversity is the foundation of ecosystem services to which human well-being is intimately linked. The third one is from NT, emphasized that it is totally unsustainable that campus is empty in summer. Last but not least, one Aalto student mentioned she wanted to be involved in sustainable activities, but didn't have many means to do that. Here is our problem statement. How might we bring students and other stakeholders together to nature-based activities to create, nurture, and maintain mobile, diverse, and sustainable ecosystem circles on the Aalto campus? The attributes we define for our services are circular, educational, inclusive, and collaborative. We want to see how those things run in a circle loop, where resources are continuously repurposed. Then we want to make our service educational, encouraging people to engage in sustainability actions. And our service and platform are not only for students, but for everybody, including surrounding residents and tourists. Lastly, we want to make it a collaborative hub that everyone has opportunity to do some contributions. We think the community could be enriched by the sharing knowledge and skills in a collaborative manner. Our proposition is a platform that connects physical spaces and communities with environmentalist and commercial opportunities to create a hub that supports the Aalto ecosystem through educational activities and tourism.
This is our platform overview. At its heart is Green Hive, supported by Aalto University, investing on physical buildings and daily operations. Consumers pay for our services in restaurants, cafes, summer space, and summer festivals. We also recruit a volunteer team, Green Hivers, to support the platform running. Our service framework has 4 layers. As you can see, the bottom layer is the infrastructure. The plan shows the locations of new buildings and the structure at urban interventions, and the Green Hive is our main building. This is what the Green Hive looks like. In summer, people can enjoy outdoor space in front of the Green Hive, while in winter, the outdoor space will be replaced by a glass cube. The second layer is resources. We keep in touch with Professor Antti Alva closely, who leads the campus development at the Aalto. And also the Aalto Sustainability Hub gave us many useful viewpoints to the planting strategy and enhance biodiversity on campus. The third layer is our services, which can be classified into 3 categories: production services, cultural services, and regulating and supporting services. The diagram shows the service ecosystem in the Green Hive. It has 2 lines that make up the entire circle. The inner line is about the way of recycling food waste and producing organic fertilizer. And the outer line is the activities that people can participate in. Lastly, the relationships created here can be community, meeting point, touring destination, collaborative hub, and educational center. We aim to bring lectures, seminars, and other knowledge sharing opportunities here. Thank you. So if you are interested in more details, you can check it on our website or talk to us in our Zoom link. Thank you.
Thank you, Hongyu and Yaxing. Really a good project. And now we have Ziwei to share your screen and project.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's okay.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. This is a service design consultancy project for a startup business team, EcoGive. And our team have 4 people, Qijing, Huizi, Zhu'er, and me. Since it's not a project that only about the Wuzico platform, let us have a quick overview. The opportunity for this project was to support consumers in marketing eco-friendly, sustainable ordering, a part of their daily lives by transforming the ordering experience. To encourage local restaurants into shifting into a more environmentally friendly and sustainable model, transforming their contribution to the whole business experience. And the results are, first, redesigned experience. Second, with a branding strategy that include a startup platform, Wuzico. Third, a client team trained in service design. Environmental issues and sustainable development are becoming increasingly important in the whole world. The decision we make today will have a huge impact on the future of human society. And one of the challenges therefore, was to create the business value will remain sustainable. In this project, our clients want to focus on the food delivery industry and encourage people to engage more in the sustainable behaviors. According to our research, we found out that the young generation and local business have relevantly high willingness to support the sustainable development, but lack of method or benefits too. And these challenges encountered by consumers and businesses are not exactly the same situation. How may we increase the positive impact of a sustainable trade addressing young people's demand to buy responsibly while increasing the eco-friendly supply of the food market? As a solution, we've created the Uziko, a sustainable marketplace platform, support both buyer and seller to shift into the sustainable life and business style. With the main feature, Eco ID card, a transparency information card about carbon footprint. It not only shows the information about the product, but also for the restaurants. We have the rating and the badge system to encourage the interaction and the real voice from both sides and push the sustainable behaviors. They could get more engaged and forming a sense of belonging during those activities. And we will also make the story of the restaurant salient to support the uniqueness and the diversity of local restaurants. We have also built a packaging system to support the service and enhance the feeling of engagement. This model combines the reusable and disposable packagings aimed to reduce carbon emission as much as possible in practice. Actually, disposable does not equal to unsustainable, and reusable is also not mean sustainable, since some recyclable products are hardly ever truly recycled due to their low economic value and the collection difficulty. The point here is not only use the sustainable materials, but also coordinate the entire recycling system and ensure the highest possible reuse and recycling rate. To reflect this concern and considering our clients' wider ambition, we have provided a branded strategy that addresses their needs in clear steps, gradually creating the supply chain to support the sustainable development by higher recycling rates with less carbon emission. We're trying to tackle all the possible obstacles to ensure the service could run in the real world for Uziko. And with the service design perspective and tools that our clients have right now, we believe they can develop further successfully and achieve their goals step by step. Yeah, that's our project. Thanks for listening. If you are interested, we're happy to discuss more in the Zoom link later. Just welcome to join.
Thank you, Vicky. Now it's our Q&A section. Jonas and Jasmine, would you like to share some feedback to our student project now?
Jasmine, do you want to?
Yes, thank you for your speeches. It was very inspiring to see your projects. Actually, I think that I am not the best one to answer now from my team about the Green Hive, because we were with that project together with Aalto Sustainability Hub, but I'm not that familiar with the project itself. But Jonas, would you like to continue, or I can then hop back in?
I mean, in general, I think it's hard to just, throw feedback directly in a forum like this. So I prefer to digest things before saying too much, but I like the presentations. It was structurally done, and I love the fact that you're, really trying to find evidence behind what you're doing. That's really amazing to see, because this topic can be so much buzzwords and big ambitions, but I can definitely see that you're going in the right direction from my, from my experience, work experience. So in general, ambitious and well done, I think. But I don't have any specific feedback or things I would like to say. So.
Thank you. And now, if you have any question for Jonas and Jasmine, please open your microphone and camera and tell us, or you can just type on our chat. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I understood right. There were some questions in the chat, but are we waiting for?
Perhaps you can read some of them out, Jonas. Would it be helpful if I did that?
I went through them, so I can just respond to. There was one, I think, very interesting question. Was not really about the presentation, but it was in particular a project we've done with IKEA called Odger, and I think it's just great to see these kind of questions because it shows like this critical mindset of like, not because it looks great and it says it's sustainable, doesn't mean that it's perfect. This project in particular, if you're not aware of it, it's based on a material that is mixed with recycled plastic and recycled wood, and by doing that you create a new material, and then we've done a number of products out of that. If you take the good thing with that is that those resources were burned before. I mean, IKEA is one of the largest, or if it is the largest producer of wood in the world, and it's a lot of waste in those production, and they try to take care of that as much as they can. But most of this material goes to you burn it in general. So to create a new product in itself, if you look at like life cycle assessments and so on, that's good to see if we can have 5-10 years more of one material. But of course, the mixing of material is bad. I think it's good to know, maybe but almost everything is mixed. There is very little material in the market that is like pure. If you buy a milk in the store, it's so many different materials blend into these cardboard boxes. So we are, the industry is, mixing material all the time, and that's a problem. But yeah, it's different ways of looking at it. But I think sustainability also is a journey. You start somewhere and you improve and you get better at something. And I think this project was really a start to even a company like IKEA to think in this way. So.
Thank you so much. That was my question actually. So
very long answer.
Really, really good answer, and thank you. I'm more, I understand it right now because I was thinking about it a lot, and that makes a lot of sense, and it's good to reuse waste, which was in this thing. Yeah, thank you so much.
Great. Anyone else got any more questions for our guests? Two really interesting and inspiring presentations, very different approaches. Sarah has a question. Can you read that one to everyone? Curious about both your thoughts on sustainability and younger generations. Do you think children are too young to learn about such a big topic, which is why most existing solutions focus on adults? Or is it important for us as designers to think about creating opportunities, products or experiences at home or in schools to encourage sustainable behavior from a young age? I'd be very interested in your answers to that. Who wants to go first? Jasmine?
Good question. A big question. It's hard to answer shortly, but in my opinion, younger generations are the key. So it's never too early to start to talk about sustainability, in my opinion. And yeah, just be honest about the situation and design new solutions. That's the key, I think. Peter, Peterson, would you like to continue?
When the question was stated, when you write younger generations, do you mean like you or like my kid who is like 1.5-year-old? Because when I'm going to the daycare now and Lever, they are actually doing education with these kids, and the topic is quite much on sustainability actually. So it's pretty amazing to see how that is, influencing at early age. But I think it's definitely you guys who is going to do, the real thing. I mean, the mess my parents and the generations before have created, not with bad will, but just because they wanted to, make growth and make the world function. We need to rethink, and we try our best as a small studio, but I think you're going to do a bigger impact. I hope so, at least.
I must admit, I'm extremely, excuse me, interested in helping. I'm going to have a drink of water. Sorry. Sorry. I'm extremely interested in exploring how we can help, actually, from a selfish point of view, help younger school children start solving problems in general through design thinking rather than always just having an invention. Okay. For obvious reasons, being service design. But with COP26 coming up later in the year in the UK, I was inspired to hear that when the UK government, and I think many governments, tried to stop smoking, they started with 8-year-olds. So it was a slow burn, took a long time. But, the result is that now 18-year-olds, don't smoke. Don't even vape. So legislation probably had a lot to do with it as well, but I thought it was a very interesting approach. So I like the question that perhaps we can find ways of, I'm very interested in doing something with the RCA and schools to help them concentrate on observing their families and seeing if they can come up with environmentally sustainable behavior changes. So I'll keep you posted. Let's have a look. Lots of comments. I read an interview with your old colleague, Jonas Palmer, where he was talking about a change in the design world from focusing on function to now focus more on identity. How do you, as a full-time working designer, see this change? Interesting question.
I don't know if I should answer for my my friend or previous colleague, but yeah. We went to school together, the three of us, and we started the studio the same day as we graduated, and then we worked together for some years, and then Petrus decided to move on running a company called Hem, which is selling furniture online. So I'm not aware really about this statement.
Perhaps it's not relevant, I'm sorry.
No, but it could be. But I think it's
another. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's definitely from his perspective, but I think from my perspective, when we're talking about change, I think it's for us, it's been clear all the time that design is not about making shapes and colors, but a big part of this industry, at least working on products, it's still that. So, and I think it's so much now about like what do you build into these products, things that you might not see. It's almost like the tip of the iceberg is the product, and what goes under the surface is like all the work that you put into supply and changing behaviors and putting new materials in that takes years and years to do, but it doesn't necessarily become something that you see or experience when buying these products. But I think that's what makes this profession so interesting now, because it's really the time to do those things. So yeah, I'm shifting away from trying to answer Peter's statement there.
That's good. I'd like to ask you both, because quite soon I'm going to invite, we'll draw this session to a close and we'll invite people to go and talk to the students directly. But I wondered if you'd think for a moment and perhaps give the students a tip for the future. We've called this series of events and this show and this cohort who will graduate in June 2021. We called them Generation Regeneration because their design activity will help take us forward. They will shape the world after this pandemic and through the next challenges, which will be environmental. And we're hearing everywhere, okay, we're focused on pandemic, but the real crisis is environmental. Do you have a thought? Do you have a tip? Do you have a call to action or any of those for this cohort of students as they look to their final 4 months actually at the RCA before they graduate? And we'll definitely ask you back for the graduation as well. Any thoughts for them to take on their way? I'll give you a moment. Who wants to go first?
Yes, maybe you want, or?
I was just about to say that there is not such a long time since I graduated myself. I graduated last spring from art education. So my background is from art education. So it would be nice to hear advice as well. But I don't know. Well, if I'm thinking through, for example, this project that I was working with, I think it's important to find like-minded people and to understand that that you are not alone, that there are other people that are interested in the same thing and are ready to shape a sustainable future together. But also to remember that not everyone thinks the same way, but to find like-minded people, because I think that we have power when we have a bigger crowd of the like-minded people.
Thank you. That's excellent advice. Thank you very much, Jonas.
I mean, it was almost like same as I was thinking was exactly what you were saying. So I was really trying to see what's the. Prefer not to give advice, first of all, because it's, I mean, you should not listen too much and just, try to do your thing. But I think I have been really blessed with finding some other people that share, similar beliefs. And for sure, it has been so much, meetings you go to when you fail and you present something and it's not good enough. And it's so much easier when you are a group of people that can, still, I'm not sure I would do this profession today if I was by myself, basically, because I'm not good enough to do all these things that it takes to do what we're doing. But it's also like, how fun is it to share rewards and suffer when it goes bad, when you're by yourself. So yeah, finding people with, similar ambitions, but maybe different expertise is probably my best advice.
Thank you. That's great. I think we need to join together. I think you're right. At the previous event today, I was remembering when I spoke at a conference on technology, and when it was announced I was from the Royal College of Art, everybody left because they didn't think I would have anything to say, And of course, when they realized, no, hang on, we're going to humanize technology, we're going to do a lot of stuff, they came back in the room, I'm glad to say. But I think it's the same with sustainability. We see this as a science thing or a big system thing, but I think we have something to say, behavior change and inspiring people. And I think that the two projects do that. They were working with live partners and they managed to influence their partners to be more focused, to think more about the people who are going to use their commercial platform for sustainable goods. you know, when all they wanted to do was just focus on the system. We do need to focus on human. I think that's what designers do, whether we're making stuff or services or building buildings or anything. And I really like both your advice to gang together, but we need to persuade others that we have a right to be at that table. In fact, more than a right, it's very important that we all step up and help the world make some important decisions. So I think it just leaves me, unless there are any more questions, I don't think there are, to say thank you very much, Jonas and Jasmine, for coming along and sharing your work. Really inspirational, really, yeah, hopeful. It gives hope, you know, which is just great. It's always good, you know, we're so focused on what we're doing is with our students and their student project work, that to see some inspirational examples of what you can do and how you can change the system, change the world is what we need to hear right now. So thank you very much. Thank you everybody who's joined this event. This is it. This is the end, the last event of the WiP show. All we have tomorrow is a very drunken post-mortem with the students tomorrow evening to celebrate the end. There's been an amazing set of events. And all it really leaves me to do is to invite you. You'll see in the chat the link to our page where you can access these 2 projects. In fact, you can access all 20 projects, and you can click on a Zoom link that takes you to those students and you can talk to them. They'll all be there now. And if they're not, they should be. And if they're not, you can put in an appointment on Calendly and find a time that's more convenient to you. But as I say, these students have been through a lot. You know, when we had that first lockdown last year, summer came, we thought it'd be over, bang, we're back in this situation. And yet they've still been able to continue these projects and create some great solutions. So if you've got a moment, go and have a chat with them. They'll love it. They'll love talking to you about their work, and it'll be encouraging them as they continue up to their graduating show in June, when we'll be right back in your face telling you all about it yet again. So watch this space. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, students. Thank you, attendees. And thanks again. We do this thing. We'll do it for the last time of these events. My students know what to do. They all come off mute, please, students, and give a proper acoustic round of applause. Thank you very much, Jonas and Jasmine. You don't hear that very often anymore. So we wanted you to have a round of applause. We really, really appreciate and grateful for you joining us. Thank you, everybody. That's it. That's the end of the WiP show events. Good luck to everybody. And thanks again to our brilliant speakers. We'll see you all soon. Bye for now.